This episode I'm going to be talking to you about a scope that I've grown to really enjoy and appreciate and respect. It's the Weaver Caspa series. So about a year and a half ago, I bought this rifle. It's the 22 Magnum Savage 93, and I was looking for some quality optics to put on it. And I was not in the market to buy a Barska or a Simmons or something along the cheaper line and everything, due to some experience that I've had with them in the past, i.e. traveling reticle, free spinning reticle, and not being able to hold up to any shock or not being fog resistant. So my fiance and I went on a little road trip from Minnesota to Eau Claire, and we stopped at Shields, which is like my second favorite store next to Fleet Farm. And I was in the, she went off looking at her own stuff and everything. I stopped at Shields in the mall, and she was at the craft store, and I decided to look at the scopes and everything. Well, I was in the market for a Barska or a Simmons, so I was like, what's the next thing up from that and everything? What's affordable, that has decent reviews, that has all the features that I'm looking for, decent magnification. This one specifically is the Barska Caspa series. Has a 4:16 by 44 millimeter. It's a really nice scope, super freaking clear, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But this one was definitely in my price range. I do love Vortex. I have that on a lot of my hunting rifles and everything, but overall, I am a Weaver and a Vortex guy. I didn't feel like dropping about $300 to $400 on a Vortex scope, so I looked at the Weavers and I saw that certain models were actually discontinued. I don't know if they're gonna redo production again on Weaver Caspas, but I hope they do. I hope this video actually influences you guys to consider buying Weaver. Weaver is actually pretty good. They're known for their high quality optic mounting hardware. I've only had Weaver mounting hardware for scopes and other optics in the past. I did not know they actually made scopes, so that was not on my radar before I went shopping over at Shields in Eau Claire, Wisconsin and everything. But I've had the scope now for about a year and a half, and I absolutely love it. I've been hitting really long range targets with it with very great precision. I'm actually at around 200 yards. I'm getting about half MOA groups. Within 100 yards, I'm getting quarter MOA groups. And when I initially zeroed this thing in, it was bullet hole on top of bullet hole. I thought I was shooting or pulling trigger and everything, and the rounds were flying off the paper or whatever, but it turns out I was actually hitting bullet hole within bullet hole on the paper, which I've only done that once with another scope, and that was my Vortex. I think it's like my Crossfire 2. I have that on my 6.5 Creedmoor hunting rifle that I shoot deer with every year. This has been a great scope. Doesn't fog. Super clear picture through the scope and everything. Very definite crosshairs, and has multiple adjusting abilities. There's a side focus on this scope right here. Right here on this side, you can see. Look at the range that this thing is capable of. You see 400 max, right? And then beyond 400 has the symbol right here for unlimited. Right here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Anyway, I was not in the market for anything that was super cheap, but I also didn't feel like breaking the bank by buying a very nice Vortex scope. So this was what I looked at. I asked the person who worked at Shields over in the optics section if I could take a peek at it and everything. I looked through it across the store, and then he also walked outside of the mall with me. Or outside of the store into the mall hallway, so I can actually look at the scope at greater distances and everything, and I immediately liked it. Weaver has been a great scope. I have it on 2 rifles now. This is my larger magnification one. This is the 22 Magnum right here is my Predator rifle. This thing is absolutely great, super accurate. But as far as sometimes you can, if you guys have been shooting for a while, if you guys are hunters or like to shoot for precision, sometimes just get a scope that does not like the gun that it's on. This isn't the case. If you guys ever get a Savage 93G, which is what this model is, and you get a Weaver Caspa on there, it's almost like they're made to go together. I really enjoy this rifle and scope combination. Just yesterday, I shot a ground squirrel. I've been at constant war with ground squirrels since I moved in here. I'm originally from Minnesota, but now I live in Wisconsin. So I'm not used to shooting these open, wide distances and everything. Previously, I've been actually shooting, within 100 yards in Minnesota because Minnesota's really thickly wooded and there's just not a lot of places where you can shoot a rifle at a decent range. Well, on my 10.5 acre property, I'm able to shoot within 400 yards, and I can try maxing out this rifle's capability, which I haven't done yet. I haven't shot at 400 yards yet, but I've shot to 200. This thing is getting about a little more than 1 MOA at 200. So this is a great freaking rifle and scope combination. I can't say that enough. But the thing about Weaver is it holds true. Haven't had to adjust this thing at all. It's completely shockproof. I have one Weaver scope on my, I think I mentioned it before in previous videos. It's on my CVA 44 Magnum Scout, the CVA Hunter. My break barrel 44 Magnum rifle. That thing has got a lot of recoil. It's a shorter barrel. I think it's 20 inches at a max, and the length of pull is very short too. So it's a really good brush gun. One downside of it being a brush gun, there's no follow-up shot since it's a break barrel. But that Weaver Caspa scope, this is just different Caspa series. This thing actually has a side focus. This is a side focus series. And the magnification on this is actually pretty good. Yeah, this is, if you guys are looking for a scope that's not going to break the bank, just looking for doing what you need it to do when you want to do it, I definitely recommend Weaver. Coming from a Vortex guy, I recognize Vortex as being superior quality over any other rifle brand, or sorry, scope brand, optic brand. But I think a really good contender, also for the price point, is Weaver. I really enjoy Weaver. Super clear. My dad, he has stigmatism and everything, and he has really hard time seeing targets beyond 250 and everything, but he was actually able to bring the target up nice and close with this scope, and he was shooting beer cans at great precision yesterday. And just yesterday I shot a ground squirrel at around 150 without very much adjusting at all. This thing zeroed in at I believe 100 yards exactly. And at 150, I didn't have to raise the scope or lower the scope very much. It just blew a hole through the ground squirrel that's been destroying my yard. I think I destroyed the whole colony, hopefully. But if I haven't, you guys are going to see some shooting action videos with this scope and this rifle. With those 30 grain Hornady 22 Magnum VMAX rounds. That's what I have in this Predator rifle. And it's been actually proven to be a very good combination for being a nuisance eliminating rifle as well. Blew a hole right through that ground squirrel. Entrance hole was as small as 22, but came out about the size of a golf ball. Very, very gnarly round and expanded very quickly. Anyway, this is just my 2 pennies worth on the Weaver series scopes. I'm not sure what all series that they have in production right now. I know the scope that I have on this rifle currently is discontinued. I don't know why. It's a really, really good scope. There's so many good reviews on this thing. I believe the field of view, fully magnified and everything, out to 100 yards, is about 24 feet, and the eye relief is actually adjustable. I believe the eye relief is from 3 inches to 4 inches, or sorry, 2.5 inches to 4 inches, and that's actually pretty good. So for me, in order to get a full sight picture, my face is, I have a little marker right here. There's a little cheek riser that's underneath this little pad here, where I judge exactly where my cheek goes, so I can get a full sight picture and have my target there without the black ring of death being around the outside of the sight picture and everything. So that's how I get a full field of view. Making sure that my face is not too close or too far away. That way it's just right here in the center of the stock. This Weaver scope, it's a decent size. The side focus takes up a little bit of space, which is not bad. It does work. As I said before, living in Minnesota, I didn't shoot at any distances where I actually had to play with the side focus and get a clearer sight picture and everything. I always kept the focus between 50 and 100 yards, but beyond 100 yards you can actually tell and definitely guesstimate. So if you're between 100 and 200 and everything and the picture is just not at its crispest, you can actually adjust and know exactly what range you're at, just by clearing up the picture and the view of which the scope, pretty much the scope's maximum clarity. It'll tell you exactly what distance you're at. It's a V-plex reticle, which means there's no fancy hash marks at the bottom and everything. It's just, the crosshairs wider at the top, narrower towards the center, which helps you get really good precision as well. Let's see what kind of reviews that these scopes have. Alright, so what you can see right here, this is Midway's advertisement on here. This is the exact same one, the side focus matte. That's the one that I have right here. And look at the price range. I bought it for, I believe it was $162 at Shields in Eau Claire. But yeah, this thing lets in light very, very well. Here's some specifications on it. It's got a 1-inch tube diameter, which is pretty standard. A minimum power of 4, which I've already gone over, and a maximum power of magnification of 16. Adjustment value is a 1/4 MOA. But yeah, what's pretty nice is I didn't need to bring anything else out to turn the turrets and everything. So when I was doing the sight adjustments, all I had to just use was my finger, and I can actually feel the crisp click into adjusting the scope. Now, it's a glass etched reticle, which is pretty nice, and the side focus just makes a crisp sight picture. All right, yep, it's 24.7 feet at 100 yards, which is the field of view, which is at minimum power, and then at maximum at 100 yards, it's 6.1, which is still pretty good. Yeah, look at these reviews here. Best cheap scope. I guess this might have something to do with them using 17 HMR. 17 HMR is a good within 200 yard round, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. But yeah, overall, really, really good reviews. A lot of people pleased, about as pleased as I am. So there's something to be said about cheap scopes and what all people are looking for in a cheap scope, and the fact that this thing's meeting all the people's expectations who are, into bigger, more expensive brands. The fact that a scope that's at a price point that's less than $200 and it's people are pleased with it and keeping it for many years and everything. Like so far, I've had this one for, I think, a little over a year and a half. I'm pretty sure. Um, I'm super pleased with the scope. So if you are a budget hunter, and if you're like me, you're a blue collar person, and you can't necessarily afford the best of the best stuff, this is not one of those things where you get what you pay for and everything. This scope has definitely exceeded my expectations. I do have really good, nice, expensive hunting gear and everything, but I can't afford to do that all the time. But yeah. Oh, look at that. That's a person named Sniper from LA, California. I can't believe they even have a gun.